Hi everyone. So I'm making a quick update onto the G513 carbone. So what basically I did is cut it and make it tenkeyless. So it should basically be the same length as this one. And now it is shorter. So what I had to do is to cut the shroud also, and I wanted to reuse the feet. So that's how I did it. Okay. And also I had to cut obviously the keys. But the problem is that I miss 3mm, and as you can see I could not had more metal because we can see the painting of where each keys of this row was going. It was impossible for me to have more metal, or I would have had more metal on the top and the bottom, or yeah, because in order for the PCB to fit in, I had to cut it this way, so there is no space. And basically I wanted to do it a long time ago, but this is way too difficult. So I'm going to explain you quickly what I did. So when you cut 2 rows, it can easily work, but when you cut even more, it works even less. So what I did obviously is to cut, then you have to jump this to down there, the capacitor, because this trace is going onto the side and comes back. And I also changed the capacitor for Panasonic one, I believe. Yeah. And so the board was working, I think, but in order to have the light up, you have to wire this to there. Basically repair the traces that has been cut. So this to there, and it brings the light, almost all the light, back. And because as you can see, I believe it's one chip there and one here, in order for the lights to lit up. And so once those 2 wires were done, these lights weren't working no more. So I followed the traces and it ended up going there. Then it goes to the side that has been cut. So what I did, I needed to wire this to there. So pay attention, I have switched. Okay, because it switches, so you have to go one over another. These two are inverted. And then, because I wanted to have mesh working, this, I don't know how you say it, working, I did cut the PCB, because desoldering the light, there was so many little connector and little pins, and the job was too hard, so I soldered it back onto the PCB, and I preferred to cut the PCB. And so it's basically this from those same lines. So again, I have inverted right here. I think I can remove the tape now. Alright. It's not fully done yet, okay? And so this is actually the plus. I did a little modification behind, so the ground is positive, and I've routed it up to here, even though I believe I could take it from the light next to here or somewhere closer, but I didn't know I wanted the light here, so then I moved the light here, and I had to reuse this point. Okay, so that's those two lights repaired. This thing working, and so those 6 lights. So basically, those keys, six lights from these 2 rows doesn't work no more, but who cares, who used them anyway, because it's too hard to repair, and this light from the right arrow key wasn't working, so I took the signal from the key next to it, but then it was working at the same color as this one on top. So to force, I also had to use the plus from this light to here, and what I did is a little modification that was simpler. Right here I cut the trace and then soldered those 2 traces together. I cut it with a cutter, alright. Then all lights were working, so I did it in this order, but whatever. So now all the light is working except those 6 lights. It could be simple to make them light up, but again, as for the problem that I had with the right arrow, I cannot take the light right from the side or something, because otherwise you don't know when it light up, and you cannot precisely control it or whatever. So I just didn't. And it's even more work, and I want to finish this project. So now that all the light is working, basically, all the light that I want, and I did, and I still had problems. Those 2 keys weren't working, because those keys are working, okay, but these 2 weren't working, and I also had to route them. So the up arrow key, I had to connect it up there. I desoldered and reused these little transistor or whatever. Maybe they weren't needed, but I did it anyway. And the right arrow key again. So now everything should work. My last problem that I had was that I wanted to have USB-C on this keyboard, and in order to do that I had to use what I had is this connector with 2 screws, so it wasn't easy to implement it. And also the connector is very big, so I had to cut the PCB here in order this thing to fit. And also, as you may see, the cable is coming on the right top end. And so the problem that I faced was that I needed to route cables to this USB-C port that I made. So I cut a little piece of metal and heat it up and put it inside the plastic. This isn't great. I thought it was going to be better looking, but yeah, I put a lot of glue to fix it properly, and this also I have to remove the tape that I use. It was in order to glue the the USB Type A port. So that's what I did yesterday night. And so the cable I need to route them to here, because on the PCB it's soldered over here. And the only way that's possible, because when the PCB sits down, because of the pass-through cable that I wanted to keep, I had to make a hole through the PCB and go behind. And I was able to do that because when you sit, so I will try to do it. When you sit the okay. So when you set the PCB to the keyboard, you can see there is a space, and it allowed me to route the cable from the USB-C port to the connector. So a lot of things had to be thought and done. This is my 5th day working on it, and this is an awful lot of work. I cannot recommend you to do that, guys. This is very difficult, and you also have to realize that in order to remove the PCB from the keys, you have to desolder everything, every little point that you see, because each of these keys has two soldering points. And so doing just that, it is a real torture. Even though I have a desoldering gun, it takes an awful lot of time. So yeah, modification in order for the screw to go nicely. Obviously modification, and all this I've kept it. and I think I need to add one pin here for that hole. But it's too much work. I want to finish it, and yeah. So showing that it works, I'll plug this. And I also had some difficulties finding the route screws for this, so they're not the prettiest. Okay, that's it. And I hope the lights all work. Alright. So now I cannot control this light individually because it takes the same color as this one. But when you have an effect that is up and down, there is no problem. I will show you what I mean. So I'm going into G-Hub and animations, effect, ocean wave, vertical. Okay, all right. Because this is a keyboard where each of the lights is RGB and individually can be controlled. All right, as you can see, when there is rows like that illuminated or lining up, it was green before all these other lights were green, because it was taking the same light as the top arrow. Okay, last thing is when I activate this, it does work. But because the light is supposed to be on the very top, it's the latest light to where the effect is. Well, the light is supposed to be on the very top of the keyboard, so that's why this light is green longer than all the others. Okay, but nonetheless, it does work. So who cares? Now it works, and most of the time it's even off. Okay, to show you that it's supposed to work, I believe I can. Okay, make contact. Okay, no. So I have this open up, and normally when okay, as you can see. Okay. So this thing is supposed to be working, so we will see. Right, thanks for watching, and I hope it how can I say? It warned you about all the work that is needed in order to do this modification, this stupid mod. And yeah, I'm just pissed that I needed this. I couldn't close it properly, but that's because I couldn't cut the PCB shorter, because in order to light to work, there is this chip and some of the connections are right under here, or Where are they? Here. Alright. And I had to keep them. So that's on the very edge. And I didn't want to route them again. Because those would probably be impossible. Also, you have to pay attention. These extensions, they're not color coded right, or maybe they are, but this is USB 3.0 or 3.1 connector, and it had all the other cables that I've cut. Alright, as you can see. So black obviously is for the minus, plus, and then it's not white and green, it's purple and yellow in this order. So you have to test how it's routed down there, and you can do it fairly simply with a simple USB cable, and you put your beeping voltmeter multimeter into this and touch each 4, and you test for each 4 of these connectors at what cable it's beeping. So it's proper hard job. I don't know how you say it. And hope I finished today.